Hi there, this is your friend Anna, and the question that I've been getting the most from all of my friends is, what are we wearing? This age-old question isn't just about choosing an outfit, it's about choosing how we present ourselves to the world. I created the I Want Her Shoes podcast to dive deep into what it means to dress with intention, whether you're heading to a council meeting or just having a casual day out with your family. Join the conversation as we explore the power of personal style and the decisions that shape our public personas. Put on your favorite pair of shoes and step into my closet. Welcome back to the I Want Her Shoes podcast, where we sit down with powerhouse women redefining success on their own terms. And I'm your host, Anna Anisin, and today's guest is someone who brings clarity, presence, and soul into every room that she enters and helps others do the same. Meet Ana Chaud, entrepreneur, investor, business advisor, and the brilliant mind behind 50 Pages and Sankalpa Life, two platforms that help high-performing leaders, especially women, design what's next with intention, alignment, and elegance. And after advising more than 200 founders, wow, congratulations, Ana, and executives over the course of your career, Ana realized that while so many leaders bring strategy and structure to their business, they rarely apply the same focus to their lives, which is really true. So she co-founded 50 Pages to change that, helping leaders build their next chapters with clarity, creativity, and meaning. And through Sankalpa Life, Ana curates transformative experiences for women in midlife who are navigating transitions and seeking connection, vitality, and softer, deeper kind of success, which I feel like is a trend with a lot of guests that we have here, women that we know. And from workshops to retreats, she's redefining what it means to lead from inside out, which is really beautiful. It's so great to have you, Ana.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
And I'm really excited to dive in today, really what it means to show up with intention, how style can anchor our transformation, and how to build a life that feels as good on the inside as it looks on the outside, because I feel like it's more important to really feel good versus look good, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
But before we go into all this good information, where did your story begin and how did you end up in Miami?
Yeah. So it began about 25 years ago, which is hard to believe, in San Francisco. I started my consulting practice then, starting working with leaders and founders and basically around the Bay Area, and really just witnessing their success in business. And they were very successful. It was a really flourishing industry at the time. We're like .com boom. If you remember, you were there too. And but what I noticed was that success was just not always translating into personal enjoyment or personal fulfillment. And at the time, I didn't think much of it, and I was young. It was like, yeah, it's part of the journey. That's what I thought. So fast forward 14 years, and I became a founder. And then, no pun intended, I was walking their shoes, and then started to notice what was happening and started to understand that drive behind having to pursue, like the pursuit of success. That was just a constant, hamster wheel.
Especially in Silicon Valley.
Especially in Silicon Valley, yeah. And then it was when I started to notice that what they were going through, I now understood from this first person perspective. And I immediately related to my personal story, because my mother, who grew up in the 40s and 50s, and I grew up in a third world country, and a time where women did not have any support. My mother broke through all the hurdles, all the challenges.
That's amazing.
But she also, that stress took her life. So she ended up having a heart attack very, early on. And what I saw was my mother was one of my clients where she was constantly postponing living and never really getting there because she had to hit the next goal and then the next goal. So that was sort of a turning point for me when I started to notice that after my exit, when I got acquired, then I went back to coaching founders and coaching CEOs. And I started to notice that the same thing was happening, and most of them were so focused on that business success and never really living life. So that's when the start of 50 Pages came about. I was talking to Elliot Weisskopf, who was my partner. He was saying the same thing happened to him. We were both working in the same space, and he told me he had created this program to help leaders design life. So that's where we came into what we're doing today. As far as coming to Miami, it's part of my reinvention, which we'll talk about later. But when I became an empty nester, I decided I wanted to have a do-over, and I moved cross country and landed here a year ago. So here I am.
Well, it's really great to have you here.
Thank you.
And you've so many women, I know you kind of mentioned a little bit about this, hit a point in midlife where they want more, not just more success, but more meaning. What patterns do you see in those moments of transition, really? Because I feel like that is such that's a conversation, I've talked to about 30 different women on the podcast, and I hear that a lot. That is like everybody's looking for more of a meaning now, especially if they have already had some kind of a level of success, right?
Yes, absolutely. So I think there's two containers here, right? There is a part right now in our society where we're definitely bringing more value to this piece of meaning and purpose. I think that happened after COVID, when our workforce decided now, I'll take a pay cut, but I will work for a company that means something to me. I think that's a great step towards this piece of finding life. But from a woman's perspective, the midlife is a very much of an inflection point. Women, when they start having this nudge internally and people just label it, midlife crisis, it really is, and I've been reading a lot about this actually. There is a lot of research that explains that there are physiological changes in the woman's body, not just hormones, but her brain will change. And all these changes actually will propel this internal nudge to try to reassess, where am I in my life? What am I doing? Where am I going? So women that hit a level of success, they go through it, but they have some patterns that hold them back. And these patterns are usually because they've reached a level of success that makes them feel guilty for even asking for something different. So a lot of times the patterns I see the most are guilt. They feel guilty that, oh my goodness, look, I'm here. Look at what it took me to get here. How can I say that I'm unhappy? That's guilt. There's a lot of worry, and the worry is usually related to, what if I lose my place? Because it took them so long to get where they went. And then now, what if they choose something else and all of a sudden, what am I going to be? There's attachment to identity, right? So that's something we need to talk about. Yeah. But I think most important is women do feel like, what if it's too late? I think for a long time, women had expiration dates, right?
And let's be realistic. Some things are too late. You're not going to pick up an Olympic sport at 50 probably. So I feel like you could start running or, but I think some things are I think we should be realistic about some things are too late, right? Not everything, but some things you just do in different times of your life.
That's correct. But also the too late means, is it too late to even pursue what feels right to me? So a lot of times a woman that is at that age, I think going to the Olympics wouldn't be something that they would be aspiring, but maybe living with a little more joy and having a little more flexibility and being able to even imagine. I think that's the part that they don't even allow themselves to go to, because they feel like they already have it all. Why am I even complaining?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And that's a great answer to that question. And I know that with 50 Pages and Sankalpa Life, it's a cool name. How did you come up with it? Just a quick question, the Sankalpa Life.
Sankalpa means intention in Sanskrit.
Okay,
So
cool.
it's always been my, like every time
Sankalpa,
I'm meditating, I think, what's your sankalpa? What's your intention? What's your intention? And because I try to promote intentional life, I think sankalpa is where.
No, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a little tricky. It's a new word.
Yeah, it's a little word,
Yeah.
yes.
But they're both very elegant and deeply intentional experiences that you've created. How does atmosphere and even aesthetics play into transformation? And
Yeah, totally. And I'm glad, actually, that's a really good question, because atmosphere and aesthetics, they play a big role, and they're not just decorative. I think that they are part of the transformation, and that's because the people that we work with, they spent decades into building these lives of excellence, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So they value quality, they value attention to detail, they value the atmospheres or the environments that are like a reflection of the work and the effort that they put in their business, right? So when we create a beautiful environment or an elevated setting, we're basically sending a signal to them that their well-being, their self-growth, they have the same level of care that they put into their own success in their businesses. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Yes?
No, it does.
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like, exactly.
Yes.
Like you definitely want to attract, put that level.
Yes, absolutely.
Even
have
maybe
to.
luxurious a little bit. Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
Yes.
And what role, speaking about, aesthetics and style or fashion, has played in your own evolution?
I know.
Especially as you've transitioned from, somebody that was, you said, on the other side of startups, then you were in a startup, and then now you're a soulful guy.
I know. Okay, well, regardless, I feel like evolution is a good word, because the way that my style is pretty much a reflection of how I'm feeling or how I want to show up in the moment. And if you saw my pictures throughout the years, you're going to see that it's really a reflection, and a few years ago when I was running my business, everything was a lot more proper, a lot more structured, a lot tighter, a lot more, and now I'm in Miami, everything is a little more flowy, but it also has to do with the fact that I am at that stage in my life where I am pursuing what feels right to me and all that. But in terms of my style, it's important. First of all, I come from a country where we really, really value energy and zest. We're always in that sense. So, but I approach my style very much like I approach my leadership. It has to have my own flavor. It has to be my own flavor. So, I love that. I know, but it is. As a leader, I couldn't be someone else. I had to be myself, and I think with fashion is the same thing. So I follow trends, but very rarely you're gonna see me look at an outfit and buy that exact outfit. Like I'll buy something from here, I'll buy something from here, and then I put it all together. Does it make sense?
I love that. Yeah, I think that's kind of
my own choreo.
As you should, and I think you stand out. You're very stylish. And,
Thank you. Thank you.
And what is, maybe speaking of one piece that you wear when you want to feel grounded and radiant, and one you kind of outgrown in your wardrobe, but I'm sure you probably got rid of a lot of the tight stuff.
I did. Oh my gosh. All of it's gone.
Like here you can't, because it's gonna literally sweat through.
I can. Yeah, no, you're right. The tight stuff's gone. And that was, I definitely agree with that. I think for me, it's more, for me to feel grounded and radiant, I have to have something that is a little bit more flowy and that it has a little bit of a dance. I always think of Martha Graham. I don't know if you've ever seen her photos, but every time she dances, the clothing dances with her, and then it conforms to her body. So you can still see her body, but there's flow in what she's doing. Yeah. And I think it's beautiful. And I get goosebumps just thinking about it, because she was one of my favorite dancers. But that's a little bit of how it is. It's like there is shape, there's form, but there's flow at the same time. So definitely nothing is too tight, but there's a little bit of movement there. So that's what I love.
Beautiful.
Thank
beautiful.
you. Yeah.
And you've said that presence is a true power move, and how do clothes, rituals, or personal style support that kind of a presence?
Yeah.
And do you guys actually talk about that in your workshops and stuff? Because I feel like sometimes people need a little makeover, especially in Silicon Valley.
They do. Well, it's interesting to bring both, because I think presence is, if I were to define presence, right, it's how you, it's the awareness that you have of the moment that you're in. And if it's a good moment that you're in, you have gratitude. If it's not a good moment, then you think, oh, you have to have acceptance and resilience, and you learn how to react. That being said, the clothing that you're wearing can add or subtract from how you feel in that moment. And the reason I say that is because a lot of people sometimes they dress, I know they dress to impress, but when they do that, how do they feel in those clothes? And then can they bring out their personality, their style, or wherever they are through what they're wearing? Sometimes they don't. There is a lack of alignment there. So we do talk about style, but not in a sense of where exactly. It's how is that you feel? How can you bring yourself with the clothes that you're wearing? I think that's the important part. Yeah, I don't know that
no, it does answer the question.
That means,
yeah, and I think like sometimes people just some people use style and fashion as like form of self-expression, and some people don't, right? Like, so if they don't, I think it's kind of hard to change that. Like,
and sometimes depends on your are in West Coast. It's the opposite, right? They wear, like, they actually go the other direction to make a statement.
Yeah, it's like literally the other
direction. That's correct.
Hoodies,
yes,
right?
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of that in my life. It's like I want to make a statement by going completely opposite. And it is what it is. So then that's your style. I guess that's his style as well. So that's all good. I'm gonna stop right there.
And you work with a lot of women who are in a redefining season. What do you tell them about softening their pace without losing their edge? Because I feel like a lot of women are like, again, like the ones that I've talked to, I know that they're scared that they will lose that edge if they leave that like corporate career or that hard, like the stressful job, that they will become like very just a different person, and a lot of people are very identified with their career. Yeah. So how do we, like, let's just dissect that.
That is such a good question. First off, I think it depends on where the expectations are coming from. So I think losing our edge it's a construct, because it depends on what in relationship to what exactly, right? So if I stay in power or productive or relevant, if that's coming from me and the expectations for myself, no matter what I'm doing, I'm carrying that with me. So you won't be losing your edge in that sense. If that is coming from the expectations of other people, then they may interpret that differently, because I'm no longer in their sphere, so they don't see me at that job anymore. But I think that touches a little bit on the attachment to the identity. And that's the part that I think most women struggle. It's that when I leave that position or I try something different, am I going to get the same level of respect? Am I going to get the same attention or the same admiration? That's what we get attached to. But when we say softening your pace, we're not saying, lose your ambition or your drive or restart over. You don't have to restart or anything. It's basically just finding an alignment it's an alignment between how you want to show up in the world and what brings you joy and fulfillment. Once you find that alignment, you're not slowing down for the sake of slowing down. You're just finding a cadence that matches the two. And that, by default, is going to bring you what you need. And if the expectations come from you, then in the end, you're not losing your edge, right? Because it's what you expect from yourself. So there's a lot there too.
That's a great answer.
They do unpack.
Yeah. And going back to this, for women who are craving reinvention, both internally and also externally, what would be some of the maybe one or two steps I would advise?
Yeah, I think the first step, this is maybe a pre-step, which is first, don't ignore the nudge, because it's very easy to dismiss it and say, so you don't ignore that nudge. You recognize it, it's part of your process and your growth. So just listen to that. That's the first thing. Then really explore what are the possibilities. The most difficult things are imagining what's possible, because it requires imagination. So what do? We look on Instagram and we see what other people have, and we say, oh, I want to go to that hotel, I want to go to that place.
What did we do before?
But I know,
You know,
but it's requiring imagination,
Yes,
right? So
yeah.
you need to imagine first, and then you figure it out. What is that brings you what you want? But I would say one of the first steps is to really connect with other women that are going through the same. I can't stress that the most. I think that women, and in fact, I just met a woman in New York last week. She was going through the same thing, but she had no one to talk to about it. And so that is the struggle, is thinking you're going through that journey alone, and you're not. But, it takes courage to pursue what's right
sure.
for us.
Yeah.
So it's really just saying, making a decision to do it, and let's go. Let's do it.
Let's do this.
Let's
yeah.
do this.
Well, no, that's great advice. Well, let's now move on to the fun part.
Okay.
Let's check out your shoes, and let's tell us a story of how you got them.
This is it's a Habanera.
They're really cool. They
I like
have this
them.
like very
They
hard
do.
silver,
Yes.
and they're like really cool blocks,
Yes.
like strong heel, and like very modern
So
looking.
they look strange, but they actually are super comfortable. I can walk
they match your vest, like,
miles. They
perfectly.
match my vest. There is a boutique in San Diego that I used to live in San Diego back and forth, and there was this one boutique where this came from there, and then all they have is these designer pieces that the two owners they curate. And when I got there, she said, "You have to have this shoe. It's the favorite of," what's the name of George Clooney's wife? You know what I'm talking
I
about.
know the lawyer. Yeah,
Yes,
the lawyer.
the lawyer.
Yeah, they look alike. Yes.
She was like,
the female version of him. Yeah.
yes, she loves these shoes. You've got to try these shoes. And I'm thinking, oh my God. And sure enough, I love them. The good thing about them is that I walk a lot.
They're like walking shoes.
They're walking shoes, but they have a little sense of style. They go with anything
No,
that
they
I
look
want to
very
do.
modern and
so
like
I
futuristic.
enjoy them. They're futuristic and they're nice. But occasionally I still do. I love the high heels that I'm looking here. They're so great. They're amazing. I had to run in high heels last week to go to Broadway because the Uber was not going to get us to the theater on time,
No,
and
that's New York.
I was 1 mile on high heels, and I'm thinking
Did you ruin them, or you like?
I did not ruin them. I ruined my knees. I didn't ruin the shoes. The knees is what really happened.
About the shoes.
The shoes were fine. The shoes were fine because I was very light on them, but it was.
But you were like,
oh my
working your
goodness,
legs.
never again. So, anyways, my hands.
Love those.
Thank
Great
you.
story.
Thank you.
Next time, make sure you bring a little pair of flats with you.
I
No matter
know.
what.
I forgot the flaps.
Hey, we forget stuff.
I know. It's okay, next time I needed to have that on my little sheet there.
New York is not a place where you could take your shoes off. In Miami, you actually can take your shoes off and walk. And I've done that because it's kind of clean.
Oh my God.
But New York is not.
Can I just say, we had a day where this is going to be forever imprinted in my mind. You know how you walk in New York City? There was a day where we walked 14 miles and I had these shoes. And I'm thinking, my feet gonna hurt? My feet were killing me. And all I could think was to myself, this is not worse than when you dance on point, because I used to dance.
But why does it have to be worse than that?
I know what I'm thinking, but I was sacrificing comfort for looks, and I'm thinking to myself, I thought exactly, I did not want to.
I've been there so many times.
Oh my goodness, I didn't want to have that go away, and I just trying to find a way to get me through it. But I did it. Yeah, it wasn't pretty.
The shoes were okay or no?
The shoes are fine. My feet, no.
Yeah.
No. But the shoes are fine. The shoes actually held up. It's just that, 14 miles. Yeah.
That's a lot of exercise.
A lot of miles. Yes.
Well, let's do this quick little fun round of this or that before we wrap up.
Okay.
So, personal retreat or Paris business class?
Personal retreat.
Yes.
For sure.
Cashmere cardigan or double-breasted blazer?
It's funny,
Or
that
a
question. Or a vest. I'd say vest now only because I'm in Miami, right? We don't wear long sleeves as much anymore. But if I were to pick between the two, I probably would do a blazer.
Yeah, I could see in the nice camera suit. Strategy session or silent walk?
Strategy session, for sure. Yep.
Signature scent or signature statement bag?
100% signature scent, because I think that's how you make an imprint on people that you have an impact on. Like once they smell
remember,
you,
yeah.
they remember you. Yeah, they remember whatever you talk to them. Yeah, so it's always been that.
Closet clean out or vision board workshop?
You know, it's funny. I'm going to say
both.
closet clean out, because in terms of vision board, that's the work we do all the time, right?
That's
so
true,
that's
yeah.
become work. So definitely closet clean out. I love having my closet organized.
Linen jumpsuit or silk wrap dress?
Linen jumpsuit.
Yes, I think I've
Yes,
seen you
100%.
Found or exit or second act rebirth?
The second act rebirth.
Yes.
All the way.
Journal session or late night download with your best friend?
That's interesting. I'd say journal session, because I do a lot of downloads throughout the day. So yes, journal
I like
session. Yeah.
Wellness retreat or gallery opening?
That's such a tough one.
You can say both.
Can I?
Yeah,
Okay,
of
good.
course.
So
I feel like,
both
yeah.
for sure. I do know how to pick on me. I can't pick on those yet.
Quiet luxury or I still love a little drama?
Quite luxury.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Anna, thank you for showing us their invention can be graceful, structured, and deeply personal. You're not just helpful leaders to find clarity, you're giving them the tools to create beauty, alignment, and possibility in every area of life, which is so lovely. And from 50 Pages and Sankalpa Life, your work reminds us that we don't have to keep living in default mode.
correct.
We can design what comes next, ladies.
Yes.
And gentlemen, and to our listeners, if you're standing at the edge of something new and want that next chapter to feel intentional, elevated, and fully yours, this episode is your roadmap. Please share it with your loved ones and those people that are thinking about going through a transition. And until next time, remember, the most powerful thing you could wear is the life that fits you.
That's right. I
Thank
love
you
that.
so
That's such a great sentence. Thank
It was
you.
so
Thank
much
you so
fun.
much.
Of
This was
course.
fun. Thank you.
There's one more little thing. I'm
Okay.
going to ask you to pick out a pair of shoes that kind of you would wear from my closet that represents you the best.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay. Oh my goodness.
And then I'm going to take a little Polaroid of you with
Okay.
the shoes.
For sure, this right here.
The Pradas?
The red.
All right, let's do this.